Welcome to The Worthy Woman, a podcast for the intuitive, ambitious woman who's ready to regulate her nervous system, reconnect with her body, and rise to the next level of success, health, and purpose. I'm your host, Jo, manual osteopath, holistic coach, and nervous system guide, here to walk with you as you heal from the inside out and create a life and a business that actually feels good. On this podcast, we explore the connection between your body, emotions, subconscious patterns, and your ability to lead, create, and live from your worth. Let's get into today's episode. Quick pause before we dive in. If you are ready to start 2026 with real clarity, momentum, you need to join me on January 2nd for the 2026 Energetic Reset. This is a live virtual event that I'm hosting, and we are going to look back at 2025 honestly. We're going to look at the patterns that kept you stuck, the things that worked, the things that did not, and then we're going to map out the energy of 2026 and what you truly want to step into. And then to anchor it all in together, we're going to finish with a powerful Holy Fire Reiki experience to clear the energetic baggage, fears, and old identities that are no longer coming with you. If you're ready for a clean slate, save your spot down in the show notes. Okay, welcome back to The Worthy Woman. So in today's episode, I'm really kind of excited to share this. I've done episodes like this in the past, but we're talking about like the subtle signs your nervous system is sabotaging your success, right? And maybe in ways that you don't really realize it. And this is a time of year where we start reflecting on things, what worked, what didn't, what needs to shift, what we're maybe done carrying, what we want to have or become in the new year, right? What we want our next year to look like. And sometimes we are, I'm going to say sabotaging very loosely, because I don't really feel like we're intentionally sabotaging ourselves. We're just trying to keep ourselves safe, right? But we don't even really maybe know how we're doing that or how our body is doing that, right? So, and this is not because you're doing anything wrong. It's not because you are, lacking discipline or lacking motivation, right? Even though we feel that way in the moment, it's literally because our body's trying to protect us in the only way that it knows how, right? There's a very primal instinct that, is getting, we'll say, triggered here in these situations that we don't really think about when we're doing our business, right? And so this episode is going to help you kind of see some of the patterns with a lot more compassion and clarity in yourself in the situation. Okay, so let's kind of dive into it. So one of the biggest misunderstandings I see, especially with women who run businesses or who have really big dreams, is that we assume that we're stuck because we think we need a better plan. We think we need a better content strategy or just marketing in general. We need to be more consistent. We need to push harder, right? Like, why can't I keep up with everything? But here's the reality, okay? Your nervous system, if it's dysregulated, your strategy, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it's not going to work as well as you want it to, okay? You can have the perfect plan and still not follow through. Okay, because when you're in survival mode or you're in a nervous system state, your brain is not thinking about visibility, clarity, productivity. It's thinking about protection. It's literally like, we gotta lock this down, right? Like, this is not what we're comfortable with, right? And so these patterns that you keep blaming yourself for, right? The procrastination, the overthinking, the stopping and then starting and stopping and starting, right? These aren't actually motivation problems. Okay, they're regulation problems. And the moment that you start to understand that, everything starts to shift. Now, it's not that you're not going to have moments of this. One thing that I have really been working on myself with during, while working on my nervous system and my business and all of this kind of stuff, is also allowing myself to have days where I don't feel like it. And sometimes that acceptance of like, that's just where you're at that day does way more than you trying to like do every breathwork exercise and shift your state. You know what I mean? So I think it's also realizing that like doing nervous system work is not about it being perfect and beautiful and wonderful all the time, right? It's learning how to be adaptive to life and your business and what's kind of getting thrown at you, right? and it's how you respond, right? We talk about that all the time. It's like, it's not what you do in the situation or what you feel. It's like how you respond, right? And how you respond, depending on which route you take with that, can give you very different results, right? And so we want to start to shift that response, right? So I want to walk you through some of the signs that your nervous system, not your goals, is driving your behavior, okay? So procrastination that comes with shame, there's like, you're not actually lazy, right? So you want to do the thing and you're thinking about doing the thing, and then you beat yourself up for not doing the thing. And then you end up in this freeze response and you're like, I'm not doing anything, right? You just want to lay there. You want to numb out, scroll on your phone, eat food, watch Netflix, whatever, right? This is not because you have a lack of desire. It's because you've entered this freeze state, right? And so we need tools and things like that to kind of like flip us out of it, right? Or to kind of trigger our nervous system to like kind of get us out of that state, right? Maybe you're overworking because slowing down doesn't feel possible, or it's like not safe for you to do it. So you keep yourself really busy. You don't sit still. You're always going and going, right? And then when you do get time to rest or there's any sort of downtime, you start to feel really guilty, right? Like you should be doing something, right? And so this is not productivity. We often confuse productivity with being busy all the time. This is not productivity. It's like hyper arousal. Like your body's on high alert, right? And it's like basically like, I can't slow down because then something bad will happen. Essentially, your nervous system is like, you need to run, you need to fight, or we're gonna die. Like, it sounds extreme, but if you think of it, like a lot of these primal nervous system patterns are linked from like way back when we would like run from animals and hunt and gather and do all this stuff. And like our nervous system literally had to keep us alive by giving us these cues, and they were our instincts, right? But now in this current day, like, yes, those things are obviously still important because there could be situations that you need this, right? But they kind of show up in very mundane, weird situations where you're like, this is not the time for this to be happening, you know? So we have to kind of teach ourselves that it's okay, you know? And that's what we're doing in nervous system work. You may even people please or avoid conflict, right? So you start to stay small in order to stay safe. Like you want to avoid the conflict that could come with you maybe saying what it is that you want. You say yes when you really mean to say no. You may avoid disappointing people, especially people online or your clients or maybe relationships in your life, right? And this is the fawning response, and it's deeply tied to our worthiness and our power and our confidence in the fact that like we know we got us if nobody else does, right? And so there's this fear with people pleasing, and I know I have this in parts of my life. There's this fear with people pleasing where it's like you're afraid of what the outcome is going to be, so you try to control the environment to make it safe, right? Because you don't know what that person's going to say. Are they going to reject you? Are they going to shame you? Are they going to leave you, right? Are they not going to buy from you, right? If it's business. And so we try to like people please in order to keep the peace and in order to maintain a sense of control over the environment and over the situation. But reality is it's almost like it's us abandoning ourselves, right? We're so afraid of being abandoned by other people. So we abandon ourselves in order to be appreciated and accepted by other people, right? And then that ends up leading down into a road of like bitterness and resentment and a lot of frustration, and probably feeling like you're doing all the things and not really getting anything back from it. Like it feels like there's not this proper exchange of energy, resources, time, etc. And then you might be overthinking like every decision. So you can't choose a niche. You rewrite your post every, 10 times for each one, right? You obsess over what are people going to think of this, right? And so this is survival brain trying to find certainty before it feels safe, right? So again, it's similar to that. Like this can kind of tie in with people pleasing, especially, right? If you've got that wound. But a lot of us just don't want to be rejected, right? Like that's like the essence of it. And we don't want to be rejected because again, if we go back to those primal instincts, if we were rejected, we were all alone in the wilderness with nobody, having to figure out how to hunt and do all these things. And also a big threat, right? Like there was safety in being in groups and being with the community, right? And so to put ourselves and feel like we're being put on the outside, it feels like rejection. And it feels like, it kind of feels like this scary thing because you're like, I'm all alone now. Like, how am I going to do this? Right. And so this is, again, this rejection piece. And this is why we can overthink things, procrastinate on things, people please, all these kinds of things, because we want to stay in the group. Right. Another one is pushing harder when you're already exhausted. So that I just need to grind, I just need to do mindset often comes from an activated system that just doesn't know how to actually shut, I'm going to say shut off, but like basically go from sympathetic into parasympathetic. You're not learning how to kind of like close the loop, right? And so there needs to be this whole loop that happens. But a lot of us get caught in one state or another, right? You may also feel stuck even though you're doing all the right things. Okay, so this one is a big one, right? You're consuming information, you're learning, you're trying, you're implementing the tactics, the strategies, the whatever. Nothing's moving, right? And this isn't because something's wrong with you, but again, it's because your body is holding on to old patterns from stress, burnout, emotional experiences, limiting beliefs, the way that we've been taught, things like that, and you haven't felt safe enough to actually release those things yet. Okay? So I want to share something personal because these patterns showed up for me a lot this year and in previous years, right? There were moments through 2025 where, especially in the beginning, I was like, why can't I just be consistent? That was a big thing for me coming into 2025 was like, why can't I just show up and be consistent? Like, why do I feel like I would 2 months of Instagram and then I'd disappear for another 2 months, right? And so I'm like, why does everything feel so inconsistent? And then I was like, why do things feel so stuck? Like I'm trying to grow things and it's not really growing and like all of this kind of thing, right? I would also kind of feel like, why is everything so much harder than it needs to be? Right? Like, why do I feel like I have to some people, it looks like they put shit out on the internet and it just fucking blows up. And you're like, why them? Why not me? Like, what's the disconnect here? And I kept thinking like, oh, I need a better strategy. I need a new system. I need a new coach. I need a better plan. I need more discipline. But the reality was I was, one, dysregulated, and two, my energetics, when it came to like my limiting beliefs and the energy that like the state in which my body was in, right? Which is linked with nervous system stuff. Our energy and our nervous system are like, they're basically one and the same. They're best buds, right? And so my nervous system was in this constant mix of like freeze state. And also I would sometimes go into freeze state was a big one for me. And then I would also kind of go into like the fight mode where I'm like, I gotta do all the things and like the pressure, right? To just like go. And no amount of like planning or, strategy or whatever could override that, right? So it wasn't until I started to kind of slow down, regulate myself, work through some of the emotional limiting beliefs, things like that, the things underneath the surface, and work on the energetic side of things, that I genuinely created a safety in my system and things have started to shift. Okay. And what I've noticed is not so much like an external shift. It's not like I'm making like a whole lot more money and all these other things, but I don't feel the same way about things that I used to feel. Like I don't feel that pressure the same way. I mentioned this in the last episode. Like when it comes to money, I don't feel the fear and the physical response the way that I used to. When I would be like, oh, I gotta pay this bill and it's a big one, yeah, right? Like I wouldn't have that panic anymore. And so there's things inside of me, like I'm noticing I feel different in these situations, even if those situations in my material world haven't shifted yet. Okay, but that's a good sign that you're changing, and it's a good sign that you're heading in the right direction, right? And again, this is why I'm so passionate about these things, especially as we step into the new year. You cannot expand into 2026 if your body is still stuck in 2020, 2023, 2000, right? All these different stress patterns from all these other years, right? And so when you stay dysregulated, this is what happens. You get burnout, You shrink your dreams. You start to tell yourself like, well, maybe it's just not meant for me, right? You don't show up as yourself or in the way that you want to. You start questioning everything. You feel disconnected from your intuition, your mission, your purpose, right? And you start to repeat these same cycles year after year after year, right? You are not just tired. You are carrying emotional and energetic weight that you have deemed as normal, right? And if you walk into 2026 with the same patterns, your life isn't going to change even if your intentions do, right? And this is why regulation, energetics, it's not optional. It's the foundation of who you are, what you do, how you show up, right? I absolutely believe in marketing and all of that kind of stuff. It is absolutely important and vital. But what I think is the disconnect is a lot of people are trying to implement the marketing, the content strategy, the business strategy, and they aren't coming from the right place to attract the things that they truly desire to have, right? And so they're missing this nervous system energetic piece because they're operating their content strategy from this place or fight or flight or panic or like doubt even. Like sometimes we're implementing marketing strategies and we're doubting that we can even make sales. Well, how the heck is that going to work? Right? Like we got to do both. And so if you are recognizing these patterns in yourself, the overthinking, the procrastination, the pushing, the shrinking, the freeze response, when it's time for you to actually show up in your business, this is exactly what I help women work through inside my business energetic breakthrough sessions. So these sessions are for women who know that she's meant for more, right? But she feels blocked. You might not be able to tell if it's fear, old stories, emotional weight, or just like pure dysregulation, keeping you from showing up the way that you want. Right? So inside these sessions, we spend the first half getting clear on like what's actually blocking you, the stories, the beliefs, holding your expansion back, right? Maybe the patterns that your nervous system is running, the energetic debris, things like that you're still carrying. And then we're going to spend the last 30 minutes doing a Holy Fire Reiki experience, or like I do actually a distance session on you to clear these things. So you don't just understand the block, you actually get to release these things. Right? And so if you want to walk into 2026 with clarity, capacity, and a regulated system that supports your success instead of sabotaging it, these sessions are a great place to start. They're $97, so they're super affordable. Right now, I'm just having people kind of reach out to me on Instagram to book them. They're very limited. I'm only accepting 3 for the month of December. So depending on availability, right? Those may or may not be available. If there is a link to book, which I'm debating on doing, that will be in the show notes. And as well, another option for you is if you are wanting to clear for 2026, I do have my live event, which was mentioned earlier before this episode, but my live event on January 2nd at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a virtual event to help you basically clear 2025, open up space so that you can attract what you want in 2026, right? We're mixing some journaling, intention setting, reflection with then a holy fire experience for the group in order to step into that version of yourself, right? So that you can clear any beliefs and limiting beliefs. That is just going to be $33. So that is also an option for you as well from a, lower price point that's maybe a little bit more manageable, or if you want a taste of kind of what my work is like. It's a different kind of event, but you still get the Reiki and all that. So if you're curious about those sorts of things, that is a great place to start. There will be a replay as well if you can't make it on that day and time. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for, showing up for yourself and being open to these types of podcasts, because they're not always like, I don't know, you get information, but it's, not everyone's interested in the personal growth side of things, right? And I just want you to remember, like, you're not behind, you're not broken, you're not failing. You just might need a little recalibration, right? And your nervous system is just doing its best in order to protect you. And there's nothing wrong with that either, right? We just got to learn how to work with it. So Thank you for being here. As always, I will be back next week with another episode. And so I will see you there.